Egg Smoke.
John McClain, Hall of Fame columnist with us, NFL Hall of Fame, and also voter on 365 Sports. John, do camps open at all? Training camps open this week?
Yeah, the Texans and Bears will play in the Hall of Fame game. They both open. I think Texans open on Thursday, and Bears, I'm guessing, open at the same time. That's reason they finally did the contracts for quarterback Caleb Williams and wide receiver Roma Dunze, because everybody's reporting. Some teams have had rookies report early. I haven't had rookies come in since the Oilers. Back then, everybody would have a few days with the rookies. Some vets would come in if they wanted to, but then the vets would generally come in 4 or 5 days later. So everybody will be in full swing next week, but quite a few are this week.
John, is Brandon Aiyuk going to get traded?
No. Why would they trade the guy? They're trying to get to a Super Bowl. That's something that they've not done. They're trying to win a Super Bowl. And so you don't get better by trading your best receiver. Now, I think it's very interesting, since they made the trade for Christian McCaffrey, their percentage of run to pass is last in the league. They run the ball more. They're 32nd in the percentage of running compared to passing. So they like to run. They like almost a 50-50 split at a time when most teams are throwing it all over the place. So do they want a $30 million a year receiver, along with Deebo Samuels, along with George Kittle, along with Christian McCaffrey, a great receiver, and then Ricky Pearsall, the rookie they drafted, I think, from Florida in the first round. So I think he'll be gone sometime before the draft. They could let him walk and get a third-round compensatory pick. I think they could get more than a third-round pick if they traded him. So he'll be unhappy, but he'll report, because he doesn't want to lose millions and millions of dollars, since he makes, quote-unquote, only $14 million. And so he'll want to come back. He might be disgruntled, but he'll want to play hard, play well, have success, and move into that $30 million a year range.
John, you mentioned the camp starting up and the Texans being one of those. What are you most looking forward to? I mean, I know this is nothing new for you, and we've talked during the offseason about some of your biggest questions, but what are you just looking forward to getting down to the bottom of or checking out when it comes to the Texans?
This will be my 48th training camp, and at this time I feel like I used to growing up in Waco, and I couldn't wait for the first day of school to see he was in my class, and I got all excited, couldn't sleep the night before, and I still feel that way today. And it's easier because Texans have such high expectations. I think people need to temper those expectations. It's not coming from the team. It's coming from fans, media, locally, nationally, because the schedule is so much more difficult, including all the quarterbacks they go up against. But, of course, you want to see Stroud throwing to Stephon Diggs. You want to see throwing to Tank Dell, who went down for the season with a fractured fibula. He's 100%. But what I'll be watching, and this won't be anything you can watch until they start playing, they don't have their defensive tackles from last year. And they didn't make any big moves like in the draft or in free agency to get a good one. They signed a couple of guys, they're journeymen, and considering Sheldon Rankins and Malik Collins, Rankins went to the Bengals as a free agent, and Collins was traded to the 49ers for a 7th-round pick. They know things we don't know, and I can't wait to see what it is. They got a lot of candidates, but that is the biggest question mark on this team, the interior defensive line. Now, they'll never admit this, but the fact is, on offense, they have one opening. That's left guard. Kenyon Green, number 1 pick 2 years ago, started as a rookie, missed all last season. They need him to step up and play the way they expected him to when they drafted him in the first round out of Texas A&M. You know, that's going to change because of injuries, but right now they have one opening on offense, and I think they could have 5 openings on defense.
John McClain with us, 365 Sports. John, what is a storyline nationally? Is it the Chiefs trying to win again? Is it can they win? And what's the receiver's name that got himself in trouble?
Rashid Rice.
Rashid Rice. Well, they've done this before without star receivers or whatever. What do you think is the biggest story? And how long do you think Rice might miss? How many games will he be suspended?
based on everything we've seen, evidence, he admitted his guilt. I'm going to guess they're going to suspend him 6. He will appeal it and probably get it knocked down to 4. But, he's been a moron off the field on more than just racing and causing wrecks that could have killed people. To me, they ought to suspend him at least half the season. But I don't know what he'll do, but there's so many players that get speeding tickets now. Somebody needs to put their foot down. It should be Roger Goodell. The storyline of trying to be the first to win 3 Super Bowls in the Super Bowl era is big, very big. And in this part of the country, and I get this everywhere I go, every Tuesday I go to Gallery Furniture on I-45 and shoot a video with Mattress Mac. And his store has so many Cowboy fans working there. And as soon as I walk in, they ask me the same questions every week. And those questions too, will Dak re-sign? What are they going to do about running the ball? Can they win in the playoffs? I think Dak will re-sign. I think CeeDee Lamb will get the contract, and Micah Parsons get it next year. But to me, the biggest story in this part of the country, and one of the biggest nationally, can the Cowboys, with Dak Prescott at quarterback, actually win a couple of playoff games and make a run at the Super Bowl? I don't think they'll win the division because nobody repeats in the NFC East. So I think Philadelphia will win the division. They'll get in on a wild card. They'll both have double-digit wins. But, boy, when the Cowboys play their first playoff game, all eyes will be on Dak and Mike McCarthy.
John, as a lifelong Cowboys fan, I wonder if I'll ever feel joy again.
How old are you, Paul?
I'm 44.
Well, maybe you got a chance.
Wow.
Somewhere when you're in an old folks' home in Waco, and hopefully you're still here and you can see, maybe the Cowboys will get back to another Super Bowl. I'm 72, and I'm afraid next time they do that, I'll be on the other side of the grass hanging with Elvis.
John, you've got an event coming up here in Waco. Is it next week, right?
Next week, next Wednesday, not this Wednesday, next Wednesday. It's a Lone Star Luncheon. It's a fundraiser for the Texas Sports Hall of Fame. I'm honored to be sitting with Mean Joe Green for almost an hour talking about his career from growing up in Temple, playing when football was still segregated, going to North Texas, being drafted by the Steelers, beating the Cowboys in 2 Super Bowls, keeping the Oilers out of 2 Super Bowls, beating them in the AFC Championship game, the Coke commercial, the origin of his nickname. I am really fired up about doing it. If anybody's interested, go on the Texas Sports Hall of Fame website, get tickets.
All right. Can I scratch an itch and ask? You mentioned Mattress Mac. I saw a video of him at a press conference on all the crap that's gone on in Houston, and I saw a couple of tweets from you. Has it really just been a nightmare down there with the energy and electricity?
CenterPoint Energy, which makes like $70 billion a year. I felt sorry for all the linemen going out, getting abused by people, some guy threatening them and stuff. It's not them, it's CenterPoint, the planning, all the mistakes they made. I did a grading system, gave them an F-, call them pathetic with a capital P. But Mattress Mac, who does commercials constantly at his store, he went off on him. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick was there, and I mean, he tore them apart. And the problem is up at the top, where their planning was awful. The way they got to actually getting the linemen out was awful. I went 5 days. I know people, there's still about a couple 100,000 that still don't have it. And it was just pathetic the way they operated. And when Mattress Mac goes after you, you know you're in trouble.
Yeah. He is. He's got that voice that's very emphatic, distinct. You can tell if he's a lover, and he can also be a fighter. There's no doubt about that.
He opened up his store to anybody that needed it. He had 15,000. When I went out there to record last week, and I wrote a column out there because I don't have electricity, and they had kids running everywhere. I mean, it was like a gigantic daycare center, and he has a cafeteria in there. He fed everybody for free for multiple days. There's nobody likes Goodwill more than Mattress Mac.
Yeah, it sounds that way. He seems to be a guy that just opens up the doors for him, literally.
He does. When he had his Hurricane Harvey, he did the same thing. People were sleeping in his chairs, on his mattresses, and his beds. And then afterward, he had a Hurricane Harvey sale and everything. People came out and bought everything.
All right, John, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Sick 'em Bears.
John McClain, Hall of Fame columnist, with us from